Here are 107 chess facts you should know. The most popular first move to start off the game of chess is 1e4, the king's pawn opening. The very first world chess champion of all time is Wilhelm Steinitz in the year 1886. The current world champion is Magnus Carlsen, and he comes from Norway. The highest ever chess rating ever achieved was 2882 from Magnus Carlsen. There are technically 8 ways to win the game in 2 moves in the game of chess, but the most famous one is called the Fool's Mate. The game of chess was invented in the country of India in the 7th century. The highest ranking title given to any individual player besides the World Chess Championship title is a Grandmaster. If you have a Grandmaster title, that's the highest rated title that you can ever achieve as a player. At first, the queen is not so powerful as it is today. Originally, it was only able to move 1 square diagonally at a time. The common chess phrase checkmate, which is signaling the end of the game, is come from a Persian phrase Shah Mat, which basically means the king is dead. Thomas Wilson was the inventor of the first mechanical chess clock in the year 1883. The longest possible chess game that can occur is 5,949 moves. The number of unique chess games can be ever played is 10 to the 120th power. That is really massively outnumbering the amount of electrons in the universe, which is only 10 to the 79th power. That is really a massive amount. The longest world championship title holder was a guy named Manuel Lasker. He's from Germany, and he held the title for 26 years and 337 days. The longest chess game that has been ever recorded to be played was in Belgrade 1989. That game was 269 moves, and the game was a draw. Playing chess is also recommended by some doctors to help fight Alzheimer's disease. The oldest recorded chess game in history was in the 900s, between a historian from Baghdad playing against his student. There is over 318 billion with a B, different possible continuations and positions after 4 moves each. When you arrange a chessboard correctly at the very start of the game, you want to have a light square in the bottom right corner, and you want to have a queen on her own color. So for example, if you have a white queen, it'll be a light square, and if you have a black queen, it'll be on a dark square on the other side of the board. So white on the right and queen on her color. There are 6 different types of pieces in the game of chess. They are the pawn, knight, the bishop, the rook, the queen, and the king. Question for you: is it possible to checkmate with 2 knights? A lot of publications online and books will say simply, plainly, no, it's not possible to checkmate with 2 knights. But I'll offer a counterpoint that is really possible to checkmate with 2 knights under certain conditions. So let's say if an opponent has 1 pawn. So the 2 knights can stalemate enemy king that forces the pawn to move down the board, but that time allowed to you, will be able to have a checkmate position occur in the game. So my answer is, it's possible but not probable to checkmate with 2 knights. So the maximum number of queens you can ever have on your side at once is 9 queens. Basically, at the start of the game, you have 1 queen, but then you can promote all 8 pawns you have to queens themselves. So 8 plus 1 is 9, so 9 queens in total. That is the maximum number of queens you can ever have on your side in a game of chess. You have 4 choices what to turn the pawn into. Remember when I said that there's 6 chess pieces on the board? Well, basically, you have a choice of knight, bishop, rook, and queen, which is the most common. You can't promote a pawn to itself because it'll be rendered useless. And also you cannot promote to a king because it's ridiculous. So there's no 2 kings on your same side. Basically, that's not allowed. So you have a choice of either, again, a bishop, knight, rook, or queen. Chess players don't even need to see a physical board to play a game of chess. So it's called Blindfold Chess, where people just call out the moves, what they want to do, and just imagine the board position in their head. The coordinates will help them to make the moves in their head. So a lot of times people can play games when they're traveling, a game of chess while they're traveling, without any physical board, but just calling out the moves for your opponent, and basically they just in turn call out their moves. This is a way to do this blindfold chess without physical board intact. Longest recorded time for a chess player to think and make a move was from an international grandmaster from Brazil that thought about this move 2 hours and 20 minutes for the 7th move of the game. So the number of currently active chess players today all around the world is approximately 600 million. Who was the first world champion that got the title without having to play a chess match? That was Untitled Chapter. He got the title because in 1975, Bobby Fischer refused to play him in the match because his demands were not met. So by default, Untitled Chapter was the world champion. What is the record number of consecutive checks? What I mean is, basically, a player moves with a check, but in response to that, the opponent plays another check to combat that. So we're just check and check and check, back and forth and back and forth. That's the consecutive checks. But there was a record number of consecutive checks back and forth. Well, basically, there's a game in 1984 that was basically playing with consecutive checks, but the record was 43 consecutive times. The country that has the most Grandmasters today is Russia, with the staggering number of 243 Grandmasters. Mikhail Balinnik was a person that has the record of non-consecutive losses in the game of chess. So, he has 13 non-consecutive years from 1948 to 1963. So he has a string of 95 tournaments that doesn't have a loss. So 46 wins and 49 draws. Who is considered to be the first child prodigy of chess? So this was Paul Morphy. So he learned the moves at the age of 8 and is considered to be the strongest player in New Orleans at the age of 11. So what is the 50 move rule in chess? So the 50 moves rule is basically a state of no progress to be made in 50 moves. No pawns be advancing to the square, advancing in front of them, or no pieces are been captured for the 50 moves. Basically, no progress has been made for 50 whole moves. This is a lot, so the game will be declared a draw because of the 50 move rule. The first time a chess computer was able to defeat a world champion in chess was in 1997. Deep Blue defeated Garry Kasparov in a 6-game match between each other. So Garry Kasparov was defeated by Deep Blue, and this match will be the record books of the first time that chess computers will be able to beat a world chess champion in a match. So who is the person that defeated the most undisputed world champions in the classical game? That was a 3-way tie between Paul Keres, Viktor Korchnoi, and Alexander Beliavsky. This first chessboard with alternate dark squares like a checkered pattern that we see today is invented in Europe in the year 1090. The pawns can only move one square, ever. That was originally true. But when in Spain introduced this move of moving the pawn 2 squares in the first move, that was introduced in the year 1280. There was a computer called Deep Thought who became the first ever computer to be an international grandmaster in the year 1988, Long Beach, California. The number of possibilities for doing a nice tour is over 122 million. So a nice tour is basically having on the blank board, basically going to every square only once. Let's say if you promote a pawn to a queen, you already have a queen on your board and you want to represent that to be another queen, but you only have one queen in your chess set. You have 2 alternatives. You can have an upside down rook, or you can have 2 pawns over the same square to represent the queen. When a chess player plays multiple pawns at the same time in different boards, it's called a simultaneous exhibition, or simul for short. The term stalemate in the game of chess is when you don't have any moves, you're not in check, therefore the result was a draw. So you can't pass in the game of chess, but if it's your move and you can't do anything and you're not in check, it's not checkmate, but instead it's stalemate. It'll be a draw and basically the game is over. The most popular response to respond to the most popular move to start the game, which remember is 1e4. This is the Sicilian 1c5. Viktor Korchnoi is regarded to be the strongest chess player that never became world champion. The most popular variant of chess is Chess Knight 60 or Fisher Random. The longest ever individual world championship game was between Magnus Carlsen and Ian Nepomniachtchi, and it lasted for 7 hours and 45 minutes in the world championship match in 2021. The first ever game between space and Earth was in June 1970, and the game was a draw. Leela Chess Zero is considered to be the strongest chess engine available to the public today. Competitive chess players use a thing called chess table bases to know exactly the result of any 7-piece configuration of the chessboard. So basically, they would want to know the result of a game between a 7-piece or less configuration. They can look to the chess table bases to know results for sure, without any doubt. The fianchetto is a chess maneuver that places the bishops on the long diagonal. For white is the b2 and g2 square, and the black side will be the g7 and b7 squares, basically influencing the long diagonal from a1 to h8 or h1 to a8. Opposite colored bishop endgames are the most drawish endgame type possible in the game of chess. Rook endgames are the most frequently seen and most popular endgames to occur in the game of chess ever. So basically around 50% of all endgames in the game of chess are rook endgames. For absolute beginners, the most difficult piece to learn how to move is knight, because of really weird L-shaped moves and the ability to jump over pieces. In all chess history, there has been 16 world chess champions, from Wilhelm Steinitz to Magnus Carlsen today. A chess novelty, also known as a theoretical novelty, is a move or idea in the opening that is perfectly unknown to chess theory. Currently, there are 1,721 chess grandmasters in the world today around the world. There are 15,995 titled chess players in the world. Nona Kaprinishvili is a pioneer of women's chess. In 1978, she was the first woman to be called a Grandmaster. So the first ever women's world champion was a person named Vera Menchuk. Zhu Wenjun is currently the women's world chess champion. The Pearl Royale chess set is the most expensive chess set in the world, a staggering amount of $4 million. The famous game that was labeled the game of the century was between 13-year-old Bobby Fischer and Donald Byrne, and that was happening in October 17th, 1956. The most popular TV show about chess is The Queen's Gambit. So the main protagonist of the show, The Queen's Gambit, Beth Harmon, actually doesn't exist. She's basically a fictional character. Yuri Raverbach is currently the world's oldest chess grandmaster. He was born in 1922. Alireza Firouzja is currently the highest ranked player, younger than the age of 18. Chess.com is the biggest online chess community in the world, with over 28 million members. So the first ever website designed for online chess was the Internet Chess Club. At the time was called ICS. It started in operation in 1992. The record number of simultaneous games at the same time was achieved by GM Magami with 604 games. The record of simultaneous games while blindfold was achieved by Timur Gurev. He had 48 games blindfolded. The record for the longest undefeated streak was achieved by Magnus Carlsen with 125 games without a loss. So the highest known tournament performance rating was achieved by Karen Gregorian with a rating of 3103. The longest duration about being the #1 player in the world for the longest time was achieved by Garry Kasparov with a 255 months record. So the largest rating lead between the #1 player and the #2 player behind him was achieved by Bobby Fischer in 1972. He was a lot higher than Boris Spassky at the time, 125 rating points ahead of him. So Bobby Fischer has a rating of 2785 and Boris Spassky had a rating of 2660. Youngest world champion ever was Garry Kasparov. So he had the title in 22 years, 6 months, and 27 days old. So the youngest player that is awarded the Grandmaster title ever, that was Abhimanyu Mishra in 2021. So he has the age of 12 years, 4 months, and 25 days old. The largest ever tie for first was in 2000 in Las Vegas National Open that had 13 players that tied for first. The record for the consecutive professional tournament victories was from Garry Kasparov that has 15 consecutive tournaments 1981 to 1990. The Chess Olympiad is basically like Olympic chess. The strongest ever team composed for any individual country was in the 13th Olympiad was the USSR team. So they have 4 world champions on their team: Mikhail Balvinik, Vasily Smyslov, Mikhail Tal, take on Petrosian. Germany currently has the highest number of active FIDE-rated players with 11,813 players. The highest ever recorded IQ for a chess player in history was Magnus Carlsen, who scored at 190. The most accurate chess game in all of chess history was a game in the match between Magnus Carlsen and Ian Taponasi in 2021. A chess fortress is considered to be a drawing line in endgame where one side has a really big advantage, but they have no progress way to crush the opponent to win the game. It'll be a draw because the fortress is too strong to proceed to win the game. The German language has quite a bit of words that are used commonly in the game of chess. One of them is Zwischenzug, which means in between moves. Basically an unexpected move between your opponent attacks you, you take back something different instead of taking back initially. Another German word is Zugzwang, which is basically meaning compulsion to move. So in the game of chess, you're in Zugzwang when you are forced to move but you don't want to. Any move that you do loses the game. So basically you can't say pass in chess, you have to move every turn. So if you're in Zugzwang, you have to move and you don't want to move, but anything you do will lose the game. So you want to get your opponent in Zugzwang and avoid yourself being Zugzwang. The chess term tempo means the rhythm and chess time of the development and the safety of your king. So either you can accelerate your development by winning a tempo, or lag your development by losing a tempo. If you find a good move, you want to look for a better one. The largest percentage of draws ever in a tournament was in 1999's Petrosian Memorial Tournament. 42 out of the 45 games in the tournament were drawn. The most wins from any national championship was in 2017 by Carlos Juarez in the Guatemalan Chess Championship, so he won 27 times. The chess terms wood pusher, fish, and potser all refer to a really bad chess player. The shortest decisive, non-forfeited World Championship game ever played was between Vishwanathan Anand and Boris Gelfand. The game was only 17 moves. The chess term initiative means the control of the game. So if you have initiative, you have more dictation of what to attack, what the game is going to be focused on, what's the part of the board to focus on, everything. The control of the game. The term pawn storm refers to you or your opponent pushing the pawns on one side of the board to attack the enemy king. So this happens a lot when both players castle on the opposite side of the board. They basically do a pawn storm away from the king. If you castle the king's side, you do a pawn storm on the queen's side, and inversely, if you castle on the queen's side, you push the pawns on the king's side, attacking your enemy king, because the enemy king is occupied the side where the pawns are pushing. The shortest possible stalemate is 10 moves if you play both sides of the chessboard. The largest concentration of chess grandmasters living in the same area is in 2005 Reykjavik, Iceland, with 8 grandmasters living in the same area. An outpost is a square on the opponent's half of the board that you can control, and it cannot be reclaimed or attacked by a pawn. The term compensation in the game of chess means you have a material disadvantage, but in exchange you have some other gains, for example initiative, and maybe your pieces are active, more active than his pieces, so basically you expedite development faster than he can. Take advantage of that with their compensation. The biggest controversy that happened in chess history was in 1962 Canada's tournament for the World Chess Championship that is alleged in the tournament. So the top 3 finishers all were Soviet players. The allegations were they were helping each other to win the tournament. The longest size of tournament game was in 2016, and the game was won in 239 moves. That person that's considered to be the strongest female chess player in all of history is Grandmaster Judith Polgar. Hui Fan from China is chess history's youngest women's world champion. She earned the title at the age of 16. The record for the biggest chessboard in the world can be found in Norway. So it has a massive site of 6,400 square meters. The biggest rivalry in chess history was between Garry Kasparov and Anatoly Karpov. The most watched live chess broadcast was between Reg Enigma and Anatoly Karpov in Spain's Got Talent. Levy Rousman, aka Gotham Chess, has the biggest YouTube chess channel in the platform and has 1,170,000 subscribers. The biggest prize money for a chess tournament was in the 2021 Chess Championship, and the winner got home with $2 million. So the record for the highest peak viewership for any individual chess streamers in Twitch was from Ludwig. His peak viewer amount is 60,346, and the runner-up was actually Jimmy Hikaru, which has only 46,106. Ludwig has actually surpassed by over 4,000 viewers at the peak. The largest chess tournament that brought the most chess players in history is Super National 6, that brought 5,577 players. The term counterplay in chess is when one person is being aggressive, but instead of rolling over and blocking, being passive, he wants to do something proactive, counterattack the opponent, because some people say the best defense is a counterattack. So that's why we have the term counterplay.